Heads up, Breakmark now has sublimated 5-panel hats. You can get the hat and their famous reversible free with the purchase of one of their 3-piece team bundles, starting at just $85. Get all the details at breakmark.com.
Club Nationals, the most prestigious ultimate tournament on the planet.
What a crowd from Dina Elamella, right on cue. And it's Valeria with a soaring block. Launching deep. Leah Barr on Simmons. Telekinetic connection. And Manuela with another highlight for the reel.
We've got San Diego Sunshine on semifinal Saturday here in San Diego, California. UltiWorld's live streaming coverage of the USA Ultimate Club National Championships presented to you by Breakmark Ultimate. And we've got a women's division semifinal, 2 programs that you know very well and that know each other quite well. San Francisco Fury taking on Boston Brute Squad. I'm Keith Rader, joined by Charlie Mercer for this semifinal matchup. And like we mentioned, these two teams very familiar with playing each other when it matters the most.
Absolutely. These two teams have faced off at Nationals every year going back to 2017. They have knocked each other off out of contention in either semis or finals every year since 2017. That's incredible. When I was talking to the Brute Squad coaches before the game, both teams recognized the familiarity between the programs. Brute Squad is really coming in with this perspective of the past doesn't matter, that every game is a new game. We are focused on here and now. Taking a look at Fury's results over the course of the season, they have had a strong-ish regular season, strong for any other team, but not as strong as Fury always expects. They are 22-6 on the season. All of their losses coming to Molly Brown, Scandal, or Flipside. And they have a lot to play for.
And they have some really veteran leaders, superstars throughout the roster, but Anna Nazaroff, one of the most consistent presences for this Fury team, someone who they've learned to count on over the years.
Anna Mazarov is leading Fury in blocks so far this tournament with leading Fury so far in assists this tournament with 9 assists so far. Absolutely one of those veterans whose play has earned her a spot on World Games teams, on Team USA's in the past. Absolutely a stalwart individual who can make highlight reel plays offensively and defensively, and who will certainly have an impact on this game.
Former Callahan Award winner, but this Brute Squad team has had a pretty strong campaign of their own, although they had not won a tournament up until regionals, where they finished first at Northeast and then came from a second seed in the pools all the way here to finals.
Yeah, Brute Squad has an overall record of 17-7 so far this season. They've shown consistently that they can win against sort of teams at their tier and below, but they are only 1-5 against the other semis teams so far this season. Their only win against Molly Brown. Otherwise, their losses have been to Fury twice so far this season, both at US Open. They've lost to Phoenix, Scandal, and Molly Brown once.
Well, one of the reasons for some of those losses, for most of those games, they were missing Alivka Volchak. And now she is back with this team, played with them at regionals, the German national teamer in her second year playing with Brute Squad, and was on the Player of the Year podium last year, is a big difference maker, and you can see how her presence has impacted this Brute Squad team here at Nationals.
And, notably leading the team in assists so far this year. So we are in for quite the journey, quite the matchup between these two teams. The question will be, can Fury defend their loss from last year in the finals? Can Brute Squad show that they've been looking hot at Nationals? Are they going to be able to take it to this next level? Can they take down this Fury squad?
Boston with a dominant showing in quarterfinals, absolutely crushing a Flipside team that lost to Fury 15-13 at regionals. Dating back to 2016, basically this has been the barrier for Brute Squad if they don't lose to Fury, they win nationals. We are off with Boston in black, pulling to Fury in whites. And wind will also be something we'll discuss during this game. Coming across the screen down towards the bottom half, a bit of a side breeze. Jesse O'Connor in the middle of the field with the disc now for Fury. Kirsten Johnson resets, but that one bounces off the hands of KJ, and it'll be a short field possession for Brute. Angela Zhu picks up, marked by Carolyn Finney. Beautifully floated a reset from Zhu. Gets a lot of room for Volchuk. Zhu back to Volchuk. Now over to Ferrero. Pick call downfield. He's going to stop play in the hands of Angela Zhu. Just one-on-one matchup. Not a lot of help right now from Fury as it's all front of stack action for Boston. Volchuk looking for options and finds somebody near the front cone. Breaking free, that's her German national teammate, Lena Troutman, comes in with a score.
That was exactly what Brute Squad wanted out of this first point. To be able to capitalize on Fury's mistakes and to be punishing with their offensive execution. Once they have the disc, making sure that they don't get it back. You saw the turn on your screen, and here is that goal from Volchuk to Troutman, just winning that race to the front cone. Those two players, you know, like we've already said, playing together on the German national team, the German World Games team, familiar with each other, bringing over. Troutman already having an impact on this tournament so far with an impressive stat line of their own.
Yeah, as if it's not enough to pick up a player of Volchuk's stature. Then you get the package deal. You get Troutman as well the next season, and the two connecting for the score. Perhaps working some of that well-worn chemistry. And the German team, a big surprise at World Games. I think not a nation people know for its ultimate strength, but really showing out on the global stage. And Volchuk, the breakout star, really.
Yeah, Troutman having 7 Ds so far this tournament. That was their 3rd goal so far this tournament.
No D necessary on that drop from Fury. How will they bounce back? New 7 on the field for them. And their own international import getting a touch, Kanari Yamanishi. Quick movement over to Nazarov, and Mad Dog into the end zone, and bad look. Can't find a Waddle Kareem.
This possession looking a little bit more challenging with the wind for Brute Squad.
Uncontested foul from Shayla Harris. Trying to break up the play to Volchuk. Volchuk tries to immediately rip a forehand and denied by Harris at the point of attack.
That was such an incredible block by Harris. Such an absolute read of what was about to happen.
Second red zone chance for San Francisco. Nazarov with a stall count climbing, although stoppage may change that.
Both teams playing a similar style of offense, favoring their vertical stack. We'll see that, similar style. Who can do it better will certainly be part of the narrative for this game.
Around the horn to the opposite end of the field, and Imanishi finds Khalees Cardenas for the score. Ties it up once.
Another similarity between these two programs is that neither of these programs runs strict O and D lines. Both of them have sort of pods of teams, X and Y lines, however you want to refer to it. They have these two groups of players who are playing together, and they trust those players to play both offense and defense. And so with few exceptions, they're generally playing within their same pod of players and trusting both of their lines to be able to get it done.
And, they say, and they don't say this necessarily about Ultimate, but it's a copycat league. And Fury's been up to this strategy for years. They've long said, look, we are deeper, more versatile than anybody, and so we don't have to be confined to your silly boxes of O and D. We can do it all. And now you're seeing Molly Brown, Brute Squad, you're seeing other elite teams say, wait, we can do that, and it's worked for Fury for so long. We have the talent to do that too.
Well, and across divisions, Johnny Bravo is doing it as well.
So really, no surprise to see what I think there may not be any argument is the most prestigious program in Ultimate, Fury, the trend center, the pace center for strategy at the elite level.
Nancy Sun commenting that Nancy Sun has played in semis every year since 2006 at USA Ultimate Club Nationals, which means that Fury has been in semis every year since 2006.
Charlie Eisenman likes to say death taxes Fury in semis. Will it be Fury in finals? Not if Brute Squad has anything to say about it. That pass behind Leanne Hoffman, trying to make the play, but low wear in there to make sure it's not going to connect.
Another story of this game will be the factor of the wind. We have this nice crosswind going from the far side of your screen to the closer side of your screen. That certainly is affecting these passes, including that turnover.
Disc dying before where it could get underneath it. Nice help defense from Yuga Zhao to put some pressure on. And now Brute Squad looking to breakaway. Another huck, and this one short yet again. Blocked by Marissa Mead.
Both of these teams looking to take aggressive shots and particularly playing that field position game, looking to trap the team down in the sort of downwind end zone.
Opie Payne getting their first touch of this matchup. Payne and Finney exchange possession. Now, a bit of a free opportunity to find KJ, and Fury trying to transition into the red zone.
Fury's offense looks its best when it uses its full width of the field. I think that's what you're seeing them do here.
Beautiful around break from Megan Liu. Gets Fury to just outside the goal line, so they're walking it back. Shimmy for the break side. And then Payne's throw floats over the head of Lisa Cooper, intercepted by Hoffman.
There was another comment from Nancy Sun before the game about this Fury offense, that this iteration of Fury can play some of the fastest paced offense of any Fury iteration. She's been on it. But sometimes it goes a little bit too fast and you end up with some of those turnovers. Let's see if they can do it correctly and score a point on the second possession.
Errors both ways, drops by both teams. A powerful gust of wind just ripping through the Surf Cup Pro Sports Park here in San Diego. Maybe having an effect on these players' ability to execute some of these catch plays and catches. We're going to have to get a little bit gritty here in the semifinals.
Brute Squad having the disc on the high side, still having that turnover.
Vinny back towards the middle, saved by Payne, but no. Payne can't make the catch, and we go back and forth here on point number 3.
This is an advantageous field position for Fury. Brute's really going to want to put Fury in that far end zone.
Kate Bosey up ahead to Caroline Torquist. Front of the stack action still for Brute, but Bosey, her first year with Brute Squad, finds an option on the far sideline. Hecht looking to the end zone. Torquist got room and makes the catch. So a tough hold for Brute Squad.
There were moments of brilliance on both sides, and there were also moments of misexecution for both programs. Because these teams have such similar styles and such similar game plans, it really is going to come down to who is going to execute better over the course of the game. If we look back over their scores from past nationals, in 2022, Fury beats Brute 14-13 in 2020 in the semis. In 2021, Fury beats Brute 15-9. That is the largest separation of any of their national scores in the last 6 years. 2020 didn't happen, but 2019 was a Brute win, 14-13 in semis. 2018 was a Fury win, 14-13. You're hearing that score a lot in finals. 2017 was a 14-13 Fury win in finals. So that 14-13 score is the most common score that these two programs have had while playing each other at nationals. And it really tells you how close all of these completions or drops, misexecutions, all of those compounded is what's going to make a difference in this game. Who can do it better? Who can execute just enough more than the other team to put themselves in front?
What it tells me is when you get these two teams in the same place, you're getting nothing but bangers. Classic after classic. Hopefully we're in for another one. Fury with a cleaner possession thus far. First touch for Dina Elamelik. And now it's a Waddle Kareem, a step out. Reset back to Nazarov. And there's Cardenas, free again by the front cone for her second goal. And Fury with a smooth hold to respond to that back and forth point on the previous effort.
That is the Fury offense that they want to be playing. Moving this around gives Nazarov another assist to notch to her numbers. Cardenas' second goal, 2 goals for Fury this game, both of them from her. It's a strong connection between those two players.
Two very experienced players, and that's basically all you'll find on Fury's roster year in and year out. They don't rebuild, they reload, and most of the time when they bring in rookies, it are players who've had multiple nationals appearances come in as their rookies. When this team brings in a rookie, it's Dina Elamelik, it's Kirsten Johnson. I remember when those players were rookies, but they come in with accomplished club careers already, and that's kind of the draw of this Fury team. They added a player like Opie Payne, who had played with Scandal, beating Fury in nationals, ending the streak, and then played with Molly Brown. So we've seen this team continue to just pick up really talented players. They're not integrating some college player generally who's never played at nationals before. They picked up a high school player this year, Rachel Chang, and they had already played at nationals already with Nightlock the year prior.
Yeah, storied program, including picking up a couple of players from my former Seattle Riot team in Sarah Griffith and Khalees Cardenas.
Hard to imagine turning down an invitation to play with this club. You won't find a more storied program. But Brute Squad has battled time and time again with them. They will not be intimidated by that fist on the opposite jersey. Yuga Zhao, key handler for Brute Squad, and puts it in the end zone for Carolyn Tornquist. So Tornquist and Cardenas both with a pair of goals to start. Brute Squad up 3-2.
Strong offensive possession from Brute Squad. That is the Brute Squad that has been missing for the last couple seasons, being with the ability to play that really clean offensive possession. Winning individual matchups, delivering to space, as you see on your replay to Turnquist here. Turnquist leading the team in goals so far this season, or so far this Nationals tournament for Brute Squad. Brute Squad having a really impressive spread of players who have scored goals so far this year. Both teams having a number of players in the Ulti World Top 25. Brute Squad looking at Lefka Valchak, Angela Zhu, Yugi Zhao, Manji Ferrero, coming in at 11, 15, 18, and 25 respectively. And Fury having Dina Ali Melek, Obi Payne, Anna Thompson, and Carolyn Finney coming in at 6, 9, 12, and 16 respectively.
And you can think of a number of other players who would merit consideration across these rosters. It's hard to even say that they have stars because there's just so many players who are elite level. Harris up the middle to Ella Melek. Spread offense now for Fury, changing the patterns of attack. Imanishi up to Nazarov. Loses her footing past the bidding Zhu. Thompson now in the middle. Another one of those Fury rookies they pick up with a bunch of elite experience already. He's been with Fury a couple seasons now. And a layout block on the mark. Amy Zhou coming up with the play against Imanishi.
That layout block is incredible. I think that fire, that is what Brute is bringing to this beginning of the game. I can't wait to see more of it.
Foul call downfield as Zhou bowls over Imanishi. Call Amy Zhou doodle. The former Scandal defender is one of my favorite players to watch. Just a grinder, such a hard worker. The kind of player you want on your line because you know they're just going to give you everything they got every time they're out there.
And absolutely a challenge to play offense against.
You don't get on the field out here if you're a one-way player. Not with these teams.
And again, you can see that in their sub-calling strategy. It necessitates being able to play both ways. I think, there is some recognition that particular players may shade O or shade D, but again, the expectation at this level is that you are both incredibly adept offensively and defensively.
Deep throw going up from Zhu, intercepted by Ella Melek. Another short-armed huck between the two teams. They're struggling to dial that in exactly. Going right to left, and now one from Harris. Drops in just outside the end zone to Tom. Into the end zone for Nazarov for the score. Anna Thompson gets the deep huck, and then the assist as well on the continue. Tied up at 3.
That's a hold for Fury. One not as clean as their prior holds, but still getting it done.
And we're seeing both teams fighting on defense. I mean, these are not just throwaways. Some of these have been really earned, but it kind of harkens back to what I saw from this Fury team last time I watched them in quarterfinals against Vancouver Traffic. I mean, there was not a lot of clean possessions in that game. They were getting down in the mud on those plays, but they were able to weather that storm. They're a team that's they're not mentally frail. They're not going to crack because they have a couple of turnovers. They're really willing to battle, and they know they can trust that depth. You can go out there and really fight for a long point if you have to, because you might get 2-3 points off and have a bunch of elite players on the field for you anyway. So everybody knows they don't have to carry such a heavy load, that they can really go out there and put it all on the field.
Well, and part of the narrative about Fury is Fury is experienced. Fury is an older team, has the average size, have the highest average age. However, they're still getting it done on defense. So, what does age matter if they are able to continue to execute successfully on the field? And when Fury is able to continue to get blocks like Ali Melek did in that last point, I don't care if they're 35. I don't care if they're 40. They are competing with these 20 and 25-year-olds, and it doesn't make a difference.
High throw, hacked back to the middle, and Douglas trying to line up the sky, and it's dropped with a foul call back on the throw. Everybody's getting collected as it's communicated to the players on the field. And I think uncontested based on Maggie Ruden's body language on the mark.
Strong sideline communication from the players from the players on the sideline to the players on the field. I think that's a hallmark of these elite level teams, that everyone understands that this is a full team effort regardless of whether or not you are on the sideline or one of the active 7 players on the field.
Hecht, another difficult throw back to the middle, and you can see trying to fight upwind from this near sideline to the far one is challenging for the throwers, and that one gets away from Douglas. Quick Fury initiation as they go all the way across the field in 5 throws.
But they've trapped themselves on the low side.
Warren with the disc as there's a foul call of field. Douglas and Lou discussing.
Contested foul call. Disc coming in on 6.
Warren checks in with Hoffman on the mark. Great around break to go back upwind. Frees up an opportunity to go to the end zone for Lou, but her throw not out to space enough. Douglas now with possession to start for Brood on her own goal line. Zhao gets it forward to Hoffman, and now a lot of space for Hecht.
Fury really backing on this defense, trying to force players under, make them take a lot of these passes.
Douglas providing that reliable release valve for Brute Squad. Gets it back now, about 10 yards out. Another stoppage. This point has gotten a bit call heavy. It's forcing players to stop and adjust.
I think it's also a product of playing really tight defense. When you're so close to your player, the window for a pick actually becomes really small. Like, it's easy to just blow by someone because you're trying to stay so tight. And both teams are playing aggressively tight person defense here.
And there's some situations in which pick calls are the fault of lazy defenders bending the rules a little bit. But there's other times when it's really the fault of the offense's spacing. When you're cutting through the same spaces, you're going to generate those opportunities for picks to occur. And right now, between those and a couple fouls, players are getting a lot more conversation in than ultimate.
Sure. But I don't... Going down to the observers now. I don't think that we are going to see pick calls that are the result of lazy defenders in this game. That is not. That is not the kind of defense that is being played here. Everyone is absolutely giving it their all in this semifinals matchup at Nationals.
Back underway, and now it's Zhao. Inside break for Tornquist. Tornquist shovels the pass back to Zhao. Zhao in the middle, high release break, and it's all Yuga Zhao and Carolyn Tornquist, and CT strikes for 3. Hat trick for Tornquist.
Coming into this game, Tornquist is leading the team in goals, absolutely just demonstrating in the first 4 points of this game why that is. Scoring very strong stat line. Taking a look at some of the highlight plays from this last point, there is that last goal.
Carolyn Tornquist has had an interesting role in her career across different teams. Was the youngest addition to those vaunted Dartmouth title-winning teams with Angela Zhu and Jack Verzou, Claire Trope, and now is graduated from school, is playing with this Boston team, and played with Scandal a couple years prior, and I think has really blossomed as a player. Before, she was kind of just a young runner. Your job is to go out there, be active, but she's become a bigger offensive focal point over the course of her career, and is kind of taking the torch from some of the older players on this Boston team as they cede those opportunities to her.
Well, even in that last point, it was Tornquist with the bid when Fury had the disc on the end zone that gave them the disc back for this goal-scoring possession. So, absolutely having an impact both ways already in this game. Really, I'm curious when some of Brute Squad's junks are likely to come out. It is something that both teams talked about, is Brute Squad throwing in a variety of different junks to mess up Fury's offensive flow and get them to slow down their pace. But so far, we've been seeing a lot of strict person offense.
Foul call by Juliana Werfele. One of the Dartmouth players I neglected to mention. My apologies to Werf.
You know, you got to do something on the field to make sure you get recognized, right?
Samia Ishmael in on the mark. I think, to me, a clear foul. Clearly still in the hands of Werfele when the block occurred. Werfele arguing that there was shoulder contact.
Foul contest, do you want to come to me for a ruling?
She did.
Okay. Observer ruling, it was a foul. Okay, so it's going to be here on stall one.
Ishmael is a very intelligent marker. It's really good at surprising the thrower.
Yeah, the majority of blocks that Ishmael gets are on the mark.
And I think it maybe she's a strong handler herself, so this is a handler's eye. Turnover for Fury, fast break opportunity. Ishmael taking off, deep throw going up, but not the right edge on that. Joe knew as soon as she let that go, that wasn't the throw that she wanted out of it. So quick turnover for Brute Squad. Elimelech up to Payne. Fury still looking to spread the field with their cutters. Open up some bigger windows. Payne cuts off a reset opportunity for Awadul Kareem, and so Werfele is forced to go elsewhere. And there's a turnover. But right back from Volchuk. Now Dina Elimelech uncovered, forcing some scattered switching on the part of Brute Squad. Fury takes advantage with a couple gainers. And now the throw up to Imanishi, who's open, but Payne misses the mark.
Both of these teams are looking the most successful when they are throwing into wide open spaces and creating separation. And when they are forcing throws into that small window, like Payne to Imanishi, that's where their turnovers are coming from.
And I think the defensive pressure from both of these teams is making these, even the simple plays, harder. Your nerves are firing. Brief stoppage.
And pressure's being generated both downfield, but also on the mark. You can see both teams having really tight and aggressive marks, leading to, like challenge reset passes, high stall count throws, both ways.
Zoo marshaling the offense, but a big gainer going up from Ishmael. Just matchup defense down the field as space for the handlers to go to work, and Angela Zhu beats her former teammate of many years to get up the line and then puts it in the end zone for Volchuk. Brute goes up 5-3.
That's a break. That is the break that Brute Squad needed. I think that so far this tournament, Brute Squad has led in all of the games that they have won. They were down against Scandal, and they did lose that game to Scandal earlier in this tournament. And so one of the questions going into this game was, if Brute Squad went down, would they have the strength, the experience from this iteration of the squad to recover, to be able to come back against Fury? But when Fury has turnovers like this and gives Brute the disc, and they are able to march the disc down the field patiently, finding open players like you see in this replay, leading Volchuk into the end zone, really nice touch pass. There isn't the concern about what are they going to do if they go down, because right now they are up 5-3 and looking phenomenal.
That's a great move from Volchuk too to get open there, but it requires trusting that you have a thrower who can make that throw to space even in these windy conditions. Just one hard jab step on that inside lane drew her defender, Ali Suchi, underneath and then breaking back for an away pass wide. But a lot of players might miss a throw like that, but Volchuk with the trust that Zoo could connect, and those two finding space for a break score that's got Brood up too.
Well, and of course you want to trust that Zoo has that throw.
I mean, it's one of the most accomplished throwers in the division. It's a luxury to get to play with a player like that.
Oh, we're starting to see this is one of those Brute junks. First look we're getting at it so far.
And the youngster, Rachel Chang, the thrower, facing that look. So here's Han Chen. Back to Finney.
Cree Howard with the disc coming back after taking some time off.
One of the players who connects this new Fury team to the old one. And there is the veteran Howard in the middle of the field for a goal. Smart play. And sometimes it is just about finding the right spot and giving it a target to your thrower.
That's the kind of response that Fury wants from the previous break from Brute Squad. A single possession hold, finding spaces. You know, that was an example of another tight window. And it's also an example of that working, right? Those tight windows sometimes are really successful, and sometimes they have led to turnovers. But Howard in a great position, heads up for where that spacing would come from. KJ having that experience and trust with Howard to put up that throw.
So Fury responds to giving up the break with another smooth hold despite seeing a new defensive look from Boston.
Now that Brute Squad will be on offense going upwind, I'm curious if Fury will use this as an opportunity to throw some sort of zone or junk of their own to gum up the pull play, or at least that initial offensive flow. Maybe putting someone in the lane off of a vert stack. Challenge those initial throws.
I don't know if it's conscious or subconscious, but I feel like a trend that I see is when one team makes a change defensively, throws out a new look like a zone or a junk, the other coach says, hey, wait, I want to do that too. So we'll see if Fury's got another look in their bag of tricks.
There's something.
It's the mirror neurons or some scientific explanation that I don't understand.
But this one I don't know is so much psychology as it is responding to the conditions.
And then bobble and drop from Sophie Knowles on the reset. Perhaps thinking a throw ahead. And now Brute Squad scrambling to get their matchups together with Fury in the red zone. Cooper tries to fit one in, deflected and caught by Awado Kareem. She directs traffic, as does Nazaroff next to her.
Directing traffic with her head nods.
And whatever direction she's given, it's working. As Awado Kareem gets the assist to a bidding Lisa Cooper.
Fury responding with a break of their own. This is why this upwind, downwind game, even though there's still this crosswind, there is that element of upwind, downwind makes such a difference. You can see that Brute Squad drop just on a misexecution. And the nice grab by Lisa Cooper there.
Lisa Cooper is a player who I think is not one of the big names on this Fury team. They have so many that could suck up all the air in the room, but a player who I think other elite players have a ton of respect for. She's one of those players that your favorite player's favorite player kind of thing. And I remember her, before Pleiades was this unstoppable force, it was Lisa Cooper and Shelly Cohen trying to drive that team to nationals. And Shelly, who's been with Brute Squad, I think is somewhere around here on the sidelines. I might have seen her, but Lisa Cooper was really the big receiver and defender for those old Pleiades teams, and now on the West Coast plying her trade and bringing a lot to this Fury roster.
Yeah, in all of my years on Riot, Cooper was one of the matchups that I really enjoyed. Like a big athletic, but like you said, really fun to mark up against. A clean player, but a fierce and competitive player. You knew it would be fair, and you knew you would have to work hard.
Sideline's pretty packed here at the Surf Cup Pro Sports Complex, that old Sarasota field. This is the last semifinal we'll get here. The rest will be in the stadium. Different vibe over there, but same thing on the line for more semis for you.
That pull going out of bounds.
These two teams battling for that spot in the final where they'll meet the winner of Scandal and Molly Brown. A lot of the names you're used to hearing as semifinal squads.
At least in recent years.
Torquist gets it underneath. Great defense from Fury. Maybe a stoppage here, though.
The last few points have been cleaner, fewer conversations. Play was, seeming to calm down and clean up a little bit, but still expected to remain close throughout the course of the game.
Okay, so she can contest the contact if she wants to, but I heard the contact call. What's your side of the story? No contest? Okay, so we are going to be coming in on stall 1.
Okay, the same one.
Okay.
Sounds like it was a contact call, which is one of the types of marking violations.
Torquist with another one of those little shovel passes that she likes to utilize, kind of a two-hand reset technique. Seal off the mark.
I really like that Torquist is using her body to create space on that disc. Strip foul called.
Back underway with Zhao. And Fury's really turned up the heat in the backfield on these resets. They're clamping down, and that's forced Brute Squad into some really tight spots. But it can't get them off the high side. Douglas looking to the end zone for Torquist, who's been the most popular target in that space, but Tulsa can't connect with him.
Douglas needed a bit more air under that disc for these wind conditions. It is a dangerous balance because if you put it too high, wind's going to take it up and over, but with that wind condition needs a little bit more float. Leanne Hoffman, seeing that windy going up too high, getting a nice break of her own, or block of her own.
Finney just far too obvious with that throw in the middle of the field, and little effort on the part of Hoffman to jump in the lane and break that up. Throw to Ferrero is going to go back for a call.
Okay.
Players getting themselves back into position.
We talked about the German nationals that have picked up with this team. Manji Ferrero, player who came up with Colombian Revolution. Big around throw from Hecht, calling a foul.
In these conditions, at that point, that would not be a throw that I would attempt. A break side to the downwind sideline, that throw is just like smells of likely to go out of bounds, as you saw it did. Yes, there was a foul called.
Well, I'm not very good, so I would never attempt that. But Hecht has drawn 2 uncontested throwing fouls, so maybe something about her style of throwing is also making it hard for these markers to defend her. But then, to your point, throws it out of bounds.
2 times.
Deep huck up the sideline, saved by Imanishi, and then wisely looks to the opposite side of the field. Kanara Imanishi showing off the brains and the brawn, and helps her team secure another break. Anna Thompson with the score for San Francisco.
That was an incredible rebuttal from Fury. Abusing a not intelligent throwing decision outside of the Brute Squad end zone, taking possession, phenomenal athletic grab by Imanishi, getting a second look at that last turnover. Clearly a miscommunication downfield. Hecht expected that there would be a player.
And this is so much to ask of your receiver. Not only does Imanishi have to go up and over the defender, but has to stay in bounds, but in no time flat, spots the opposite side of the field wide open, puts a throw upwind into the teeth of the defense, and then her teammates continue on for the score. A ton of credit to Kanari Imanishi for a fantastic play.
We are in a timeout in this first half.
Brute Squad trailing now, having given up a run to Fury. San Francisco striking hard, striking fast. Can they take this first half? Did you hear? Breakmark's free reversibles and 5-panel deal has been extended. so there's still a chance for you to get awesome accessories with your team's jerseys from the same folks that had the Western Ultimate League looking right this year. Head to breakmark.com while you still can.
Apply today to get sponsored jerseys from VII Apparel. We'll only be selecting a limited number of teams, but any team can apply for our Supreme sponsorship to get 75% off a custom team jersey order. We've created an incredible new Eagle Eye mesh fabric line to elevate your game to new heights. It's light, stretchy, breathable, and offers anti-UV protection technology. Apply by October 31st at viiapparel.co.
Brute Squad looking for answers to this Fury run coming out of the timeout. Boston had been in control of this game, but Fury scored 3 consecutive goals to jump back in front. And we talked about Boston has been playing from the front foot pretty much this entire tournament. They've been able to get out in front of teams and just control the game from there. How will they respond if they end up in a deficit?
Yeah, this is the first time in a game that they have been down, and we'll see if they're able to come back, unlike earlier with their scandal game.
Disc center to Knowles. Looks like a zone defense from Fury.
Yeah, I want to go back to what we were talking about earlier about like when you set the zone. It really makes sense to set the zone given these wind conditions because Brute Squad is going upwind, and like collective ultimate intelligence says that we want players to be playing against the zone, have them throw a lot of passes when you are going upwind. So I do think it's a strategic decision to be setting these zones and junks when you are starting on defense and you are pulling downwind to an offensive team that has to go upwind.
Brute Squad with something of the import line out there. Aside from Angela Zhu, I think basically all of these players have played with other club teams in the past 3 years or in other countries. Laura Ospina in the backfield with Volchuk getting the disc. Now wide to Knowles, formerly of Columbus rival. The German Troutman. Now wide to Knowles.
Fury playing a 4-person cup. Something I think is interesting is it does seem that they're forcing the upwind sideline, which is a little bit contrary to sort of standard ultimate knowledge where one would want to force the low sideline.
Yeah, right now though, Boston seems happy to stay up there. Haven't really crossed over the midpoint of the field on this possession. But Zhu working it with Troutman.
Brute Squad staying really patient with this possession. Taking exactly what this Fury defense is giving them. There's lots of little passes. Handlers attacking forward into the cup to try to gain, yard by yard. Resetting behind when necessary.
Volchuk holding. And it has been a lot of short passes for Boston as they have, walking even might be a strong word. They're kind of crawling their way towards the end zone. But death by 1,000 cuts is still death.
I like the Brute Squad offensive setup where even when you have that player trapped on the sideline, you still have an outlet behind. Ellie Mellick gets a hand on that disc, still caught.
One of the most feared marks in all of Ultimate, Dina Ellie Mellick, and they're able to use all that length to get just a piece of the disc, but not enough. But finally, after what may have been thousands of completions,
thousands!
Ospina misses. And now the disc in the hands of San Francisco. But a massive layout block by Ospina, talking about earning it back.
Play of the game so far, hands down.
An absolute rocket launch by the Colombian. And now here's Ismail. You want to talk about launching. When the disc gets in her hands, it often does. And it goes straight to the end zone for Sophie Knowles. And that is an incredible play by Laura Ospina to get that one back for a strong hold.
The pace at which Brute Squad took off after Ospina got that block is what launched them to success and had them able to secure this point. You could see the Fury defense was scrambling, trying to figure out, are we going into a person or are we trying to resume our zone possession, our zone setup? And so they didn't have the matchups. And Ismail took advantage of that by hitting Knowles. Getting a look at that block again. Such a phenomenal play. And here we see that nice long shot. And a very open Knowles. Again, taking advantage, Knowles celebrating in spectacular fashion, but taking advantage of the space, taking advantage of the Fury defense that wasn't ready to have to switch directions.
So out of the timeout, Boston has done quite well. Although Fury got that break chance.
But this is that upwind, downwind game. And so Fury now has to go upwind. Brute Squad is pulling downwind. This is that exact situation where we would expect to see some sort of zone or junk look.
Becky Malinowski with the pull. And I'm thinking she and Cree Howard have matched up a couple times in their career.
Just once or twice. But both are players who've taken some time off and then come back. And, you know, Malinowski is playing some of the best ultimate of her career. And, we'll see throughout the course of this game if that's true for Howard as well.
KJ trying to put one into the end zone, a jump ball, and knocked away by Ferrero. And that's got her fired up.
Ferrero looks stoked about that block. You can see that there's the yeah, I did that.
And those long inside backhand breaks that are going in that direction have been trouble for teams. Saw it in the mixed semifinal between Exist and Hybrid. It's a difficult throw in these windy conditions.
Some gusts of wind have picked up, amplifying that crosswind situation even more.
Caitlin Lee up ahead to Zhao, but can't quite hold on to that. The wind makes not only throwing harder, but catching as well.
I think that really was because of this increased gust of wind that just happened. That was kind of at the heart of that particular turnover.
Doesn't help to have a Fury defender breathing down your neck either. Howard, 2 steps outside the goal line. And a short throw that looks like it's going to generate some conversation.
Noteworthy that in this person defense, Fury is forcing to the low sideline. Turnquist and Finney in this discussion. Turnquist likely saying they have the inside lane. Finney likely saying something about the amount of contact.
I see it. So you're saying foul, no contest?
Yeah.
And then we're going to help you reposition?
Yeah,
no,
I'm
saying strip and possibly in the end zone. Okay, so you're not contesting the strip?
No, I just don't know if it's, yeah.
So now, you were on the line? Okay. So by the time you gained possession.
So that was an uncontested foul, as you heard from the conversation. So disc will stay with Finney, but it is not a goal. Ruled that Finney was not yet in the end zone when Finney gained possession. But Fury calling a timeout.
We've talked about the German World Games players and some Colombian World Games players here as well, and then got American World Games players too along these rosters. Carolyn Finney taking a timeout, looking to get Fury into the end zone so they could gain a lead. And semifinals here at San Diego.
What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores.
5 Ultimate wants you to apply for our Dream Team sponsorship. Any team can apply to get free kits, including a set of light jerseys, dark jerseys, shorts, and 25 custom Discraft Ultra Stars. That's $5,000 in value, free to your team. We want to introduce our new Orca jersey fabric to the world. Engineered from the ground up, we created the best tech fabric, specifically designed for Ultimate. Apply by October 31st at 5ultimate.com.
Carolyn Finney just inches away from a Fury score here in the women's division semifinal. It's all tied here, 6-6.
Finney's certainly the kind of player that you want having the disc just outside of your end zone. Has a huge creative arsenal of throws.
Immediately gets it off the line, and now it's O'Connor with a throw on the run to Megan Liu.
Jessie O'Connor, one of my personal favorite players on Fury. Jessie O'Connor and I were teammates on the University of Maryland Helpful Corn. I was in my 5th year of playing, and Jessie came in as a freshman. And Jessie O'Connor, who threw the assist there in, nice. We'll get that replay. You can see O'Connor throwing that quick forehand that she's known for to the end zone for Liu. Jessie O'Connor, very quiet when she started in college. Really said very few words. And was put on this universe point line against Pittsburgh for the game to go to nationals for Maryland. O'Connor catches the game-winning point after many, many turns, and O'Connor, as this tight-lipped freshman who doesn't say anything almost ever, then carried the disc around and would not let it out of her hands for the rest of the day. Went to go eat with it, made the drive home from college regionals with it, did not let go of it until she went to bed that night. And that is one of my favorite Jessie O'Connor stories, and I think just shows how much heart and how much passion she brings. Maybe not a loud presence, but someone who everyone just absolutely adores, and is such a stable rock for the Fury offense.
She's still pretty quiet, but her game speaks pretty loudly. Ishmael missing on a deep shot. So another chance for Fury. Can they break to take half with a 2-goal lead? They're on serve right now. Warfully brings it in. Shayla Harris looking deep. Bending forehand. Couldn't get enough on that. So despite the efforts of a bidding Ali Suji, this will go to Brute Squad. Stasi Tangerlini to the middle of the Volchuk. The 2-7 shirts matched up, Ospina and Payne. Payne poaching off, so Ospina takes the reset. Volchuk up the line to Ishmael. Backpedaling, Volchuk still manages to lay out, and now up the line to a bidding Sophie Knowles. And we'll have Galaxy point, as they say in Europe, or maybe not. Yes, we will. Needed an extra beat there, but next team to score will take half with the lead.
This is a very exciting point. Brute Squad will be pulling downwind. Fury will have the opportunity to show that their offense has the ability of being a championship program by scoring in one possession. That's really what they're going for here, to hold to take halftime. I think what stood out to me at that point was how hard Brute Squad had to work to score upwind. You saw Volchuk laying out twice on resets, and then you saw Knowles laying out again for the score. And I think that speaks to the amount of defensive pressure that Fury is putting on Brute Squad right now, and it's making it hard for them to work. And it goes back to what we were saying at the earlier part of the game, that this is really a game of inches. Who can do more? And we're seeing small trades back and forth. Both programs looking really strong.
And I mean, given the history, but also just the respect these two teams have for each other, I think that's what they expect when they get here. You expect very few, if any, easy ones. You know that you're in semifinals against some of the strongest competition in the world. You know, if you've been listening to the beautiful teaser cut by our very own Lindsay Sue, shout out to Superstar, you hear Charlie Eisen say that this is the most prestigious tournament in the world. And there's good reason for that. The level of competition here is unlike any other. And you're not going to find an annual event with a higher level of competition.
There is some conversation about whether or not a timeout was taken on the field.
Unusual, though, to see both teams in a timeout with everyone staying on the line. Looks a little bit like a TV timeout. So, everybody's gathering. Maybe they just want to build up the tension. Maybe this is just the lull before the crescendo. I'm sure there's probably a musical term for that. But.
So if we think about the personnel that's on the line, a reason to take a timeout when you're at 7-7s. One is that you get 2 timeouts a half, and if you haven't used your timeout by the end of this point, your timeouts go away, and so that gives you as a defense an opportunity to be rested and fresh. And sometimes calling a timeout can slow down that pace of the offense, slow down their groove, kind of like ice them a little bit. And so I think that's probably the strategy from Brute Squad here, to call a timeout, extend that time between points, and try to intimidate this Fury offense.
Finney throwing behind O'Connor, whose reach can't pull it back in. Tulsa Douglas with the disc in midfield. Brute Squad looking to break in a half. Torquist fights it around to a smartly cutting Tanger Lady.
Maggie Rudin did a great job preventing the up line there.
But into the end zone, a free Eddie Lamb. And the Brute Squad rookie lands the final blow of the first half. Boston, 8-7 lead, up a break.
Looks like that Brute Squad strategy of trying to ice the Fury offense was successful. All they needed was that one Finney turnover, and they were ruthless in working it down the field. Here's a second look at that turn that went behind O'Connor. And the Brute Squad offense patiently working up the field to Lamb. Lamb's stoked about that one.
Boston now in control as we go into the halftime break, but this has been a close contest throughout, and I doubt either of these teams is done making moves on one another in their effort to reach the final.
This is all part of the journey for both of these teams.
So Brute Squad, after getting the first break of the game, then conceding that lead back to Fury. But at the last moment of the first half, Brute Squad gets back in front. Just a moment, we'll be joined by Fury coach Maddie Sang, the legendary leader of this Fury group. Maddie, great to have you on with us. Team playing in a really close game against a program you're really used to seeing here at Nationals. What were your thoughts coming into another Nationals matchup against Brute Squad?
We're really excited. I mean, we play in a similar way, and so it's a very comfortable. It's kind of like being at practice and grinding out with, the other team at practice. So we were pretty happy to play this team.
You said before the game that one of your keys to the game was preventing Brute Squad's upline and their movement to the break side so that they could, get into those positions to hook it. How do you feel like you have been successful at those keys?
I think we've been fair. I think we've had a couple points where we were all locked in and it looked like what we want, and then the other times we got a little loose and they were able to punish us.
This Boston team is a team that plays really intense defense. It's what they've been known for so long. Offensively, what do you have to counter what Boston brings to the table?
I mean, I think when there's that pressure, we need to move away from it quickly. And so if we stand and kind of let them lock in on us, then they have the advantage. And if we can keep it moving, then it's going to be a lot harder for them to get into that first set.
What is your halftime speech going to sound like? You always are known for these like really great huddle speeches. Give us some insight into what you're going to say to the team coming into this second half.
It's going to be very mundane, full of sports cliches. So nothing to write home about.
Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us, Maddie. We appreciate you, and good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Fury's Maddie Sang, one of my favorite individuals to talk to in Ultimate. And a legendary coach. He'll have to be the architect behind another comeback if Fury is to reach the final. Yet again, Brute Squad with an 8-7 lead here at the half in semifinals.
Apply today to get sponsored jerseys from VII Apparel. We'll only be selecting a limited number of teams, but any team can apply for a Supreme sponsorship to get 75% off a custom team jersey order. We've created an incredible new Eagle Eye mesh fabric line to elevate your game to new heights. It's light, stretchy, breathable, and offers anti-UV protection technology. Apply by October 31st at VIIapparel.co.
What are they, spaceships from Mars? No, they're frisbees. Watch it soar. It flies way around like a bird. You can even run for a pass. You can play all kinds of games. Isn't it amazing? Frisbee Flying Saucer. Yours at toy, drug, and department stores.
5 Ultimate wants you to apply for our Dream Team sponsorship. Any team can apply to get free kits, including a set of light jerseys, dark jerseys, shorts, and 25 custom Discraft Ultra Stars. That's $5,000 in value, free to your team. We want to introduce our new Orca jersey fabric to the world. Engineered from the ground up, we created the best tech fabric, specifically designed for Ultimate. Apply by October 31st at 5ultimate.com.
Boston with an 8-7 lead here at the halftime. We are now joined by Brute Squad's Leah Helling and Carolyn Tornquist. Leah, is there anything that you want to convey to the audience at home before we talk a little bit more about this game?
Yeah, thank you. Brute Squad would like to take this opportunity to amplify calls for a ceasefire in Israel and occupied Palestine. We mourn for every Palestinian, Israeli, and American life lost to this ongoing violence. Those of us who are American here are complicit. Billions of our tax dollars each year go towards funding the Israeli military, which is perpetrating catastrophic violence on Palestinian people as we speak. Brute Squad calls for an end to the aggression on Gaza, for the delivery of humanitarian aid, and for the restoration of water, food, electricity, and medical supplies to Gaza. We must join the masses of people across the country and the globe and take a stand to put a stop to this devastating loss of life. We urge you to donate funds, contact your representatives, gather with your communities, and continue to amplify calls coming out of Gaza. And I'll pass it on to Caroline to talk about the game.
Welcome, Caroline. Thinking about this game so far, what do you think the keys to your success in taking half over Brute Squad 8-7 are?
I think it all comes down to our defense. There's been a number of times where we've put a lot of pressure on their resets, taken away the first option, and then they've had to throw something that they don't really want to. We've been able to capitalize on that, and then we've been really consistent on offense and just like put those holds in.
The team has gotten to play from in front a lot during this tournament. They're coming back in the first half from behind against Fury. What do you think allowed you to get back in front going into the break?
Just recommitting to our fundamentals. Brute Squad, we've been getting like better and better each game, and so we're just trying to ride that. And again, like just bring it all on defense. That's how we're going to win this game.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck in the second half, CT. So taking a look at the game stats from this first half, and I'm anticipating they're going to be pretty close given the line on the scoreboard.
And that is exactly what these game stats show. We have 5 holds apiece, turnovers within 1, breaks within 1, break chances within 2. You know, it shows by the numbers exactly what we've been feeling, which is how this is a game of inches. we are well on our way to another 14-13 matchup, regardless of who's in front. That seems to be the favorite score at Nationals between these two programs.
A bit of a messy game. You get 31 combined turnovers between two teams that are obviously really strong, and it's a combination of both the conditions but also the defenses. Both teams are playing really harassing defense, smart defense as well, asking a lot of each other and recognizing that these conditions are challenging for offenses to operate in and using that to their advantage. We'll see who can find that little bit of extra efficiency in this second half, because that could be the thing that separates them.
Well, it's not just turnovers for turnover's sakes, right? In addition to the defense, there's also a strategy point of the turnovers that you're okay with. And that because of the conditions, the field position game does matter. And so a deep huck turn is often like more acceptable than a short reset turn that gives that short field turnover. Really deep pull there. Looks like it landed in but rolled out, so it's coming in at the front of the end zone.
Angela Zhu starting play. I've seen Boston operating with a lot of small ball, having to throw right now against a poach in the lane from Mad Dog. Working just on this open sideline. Zhu pump faking deep. Under to Ismail.
Because of the wind conditions, we haven't had a whole lot of action on this close sideline.
Ismail floats one past Zhu over to Volchik. Now Leafka analyzing. Give and go in a roll coverage, but straight up the open side for Boston. Not the kind of defense that San Francisco is going to need if they're going to get back in front. Root Squad scores.
Another Volchek to Troutman score. Following up on their connection from having played together. Getting a second look at that now.
Wunderbar. That's about as much as I can do, besides counting to 99 in German.
That was a really important one possession hold for Brute Squad, because Brute Squad came out of this half on offense, and because they were able to break for half in the first half, they sort of got themselves that extra like half break, if you will, and by finishing out this offensive possession, they have both gained the wind and sealed that upwind downwind break set, even though that there was a halftime in the middle of that. And so this like 2-point lead is really critical, and at this point they could trade out the rest of the game, and that would be what Brute Squad is looking for. And like you said earlier, if Brute Squad can beat Fury, then they move on to win a national championship. At least that's what the history has told us so far, including beating my Riot.
And history is not an exact predictor of the future, but they do say it repeats itself, and it certainly has had a way of doing that here in the women's division. Zwei goals for Lily Troutman. And an interception on the first pass by Elise Friedman, the first-year Brute Squad player, snatching away possession on the goal line, but taken right back by Cree Howard.
I really like Howard's fist pump there.
I've seen some midpoint celebrations across both of these teams, and you love to see joy on the field. High throw, Howard trying to save it, but it goes over the head of the intended target. That was Yorana Scassieri trying to make the play, so Ospina picks up for Brute Squad. Pick downfield will make for a brief beginning to that possession.
That pick downfield is probably advantageous to Brute Squad to help them settle a little bit. I think with this like pair of quick turns, like energy starts to get a little bit high, and frantic energy is helpful on defense, but not as helpful on offense. You can even see it in the way that players are moving on the field. There's still this frantic energy right now. Who is going to be able to play clean offense with that adrenaline and energy coursing through them?
Ferrero up the line. Continuing to Sarah Hansen, getting her first touch. Another stoppage.
Coming in on stall 3.
Ospina getting free of Rudin up the line, and now Caitlin Lee finds some space. And back to Ferrero, but Johnson able to come on with the poach block, put some contact between the players.
Johnson limping a little bit, but looks like she's staying on the field.
Ferrero seemed to reach for her head. Not sure exactly what the injury might be, but you certainly hope that she's okay.
Those angles can be really challenging as a player when you are bidding forward into the end zone and there's a defender that is coming sort of at you. The angles of that, you could see that KJ pulled up at the last moment trying to go around, and there was certainly still contact.
Fortunately, Ferrero is up and looks like she may even stay on. Not sure yet, but discussion about whether or not there'd be a foul call. And we do know that to be basically, I'd say, the most injurious moment in Ultimate. Upline cut.
I'm going to contest. I felt like I made it there first, and then you bid after I had already gotten the...
You want to ask the advisor or just contest?
You can just contest, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
are you okay?
Yeah,
Foul.
I'm okay.
Contest.
So contested foul, not going to go to the observers, or as Ferrero referred to the game advisor, obviously showing that she's got a lot of experience in international play with the whiff-diff rule set, but also great to hear Ferrero say that she's okay.
Yeah, really glad to see all of those players stay on the field. Significant impact players for their teams.
Johnson, I will say, did look to me like she was attempting to avoid contact. Not necessarily successful in that, but was conscious of the fact that that play is often one where players can get hurt. Ferrero gets the reset. And Finney down on the mark, so that'll stop play.
I appreciate that Caitlin Lee chose to get the disc off the sideline there.
High throw pulled in by Ospina. And I don't know how she snuck that continue through the closing window that must have been a disc's width, but does. And Ferrero goes from potentially scary injury to a score for Brute Squad.
Yeah, and it really, there's that around throw, great grab by Ospina, but it really starts with Caitlin Lee making the strategic decision to get the disc off the low side of the field and center it rather than try to jam it up that coffin corner.
And I don't know how long ago that point may have started, but easy to forget that was a break.
And as we take a look at our game clock, we have just over a half an hour left before this soft cap goes on. And so there's still plenty of game time left, but we are starting to think about clock management, that for Fury, being down a couple of breaks at this point, they need to start making a comeback so they have enough runway, because you can't really expect that you're going to be able to rattle off a bunch of sequential breaks against this Brute Squad roster, although it is what they've just done.
Brute getting the halftime break and then adding another 3, their largest lead of this contest.
To be fair, the 1 out of half was an offense. They did start a no.
So Boston now in a commanding position to earn a spot in the final. The winner of this game faces the winner of DC Scandal and Denver Molly Brown. But something tells me we've got more twists in this plot before we find out who that will be. Cardenas underneath. Fury keeping players in constant motion as they open and close different spaces. But Brute Squad up to the task of doing the work necessary to cover these holes up. Nazarov with a save, and then just floats a backhand on the wind to Shayla Harris. And the one they call Dozer comes down with the goal.
Nazarov having two close digs there. Passes that were, really close to the end zone. You can see Nazarov grabbing one there. But before that assist to Harris. But I really appreciate, Nazarov's ability to nickname Mad Dog, if we're going to bring those in, ability to make that challenging catch and still then have the wherewithal to say, okay, this is where I want the disc to go, have it have enough angle on it that Harris, is the intended receiver, but not too much angle that the wind pushes it away.
Harris, product out of Stanford, but Nazarov not far away at UCLA, although in very different times. Nazarov, a former Callahan winner, and her college career preceding our awards, or Ultiworld in general, so no college awards to speak of for Anna Nazarov, but I feel confident in saying she would have had some.
Seems likely. That offensive possession is really Fury at its best, and I think the question for the rest of this game is going to be, can that version of Fury, can that offense from Fury be in existence more frequently? Can that version where they're moving it precisely across the field to the intended targets, is that the offense that we're going to see? Because that's going to be the difference maker in this game.
Turnover as that throw bounces out of the hands of Hoffman. I think you continue to see how much the wind is challenging these receivers. It just kind of bounces around. It's not as simple a catch with the tight spin on it. Low throw. Bosey argues that it's down, but Johnson hears none of it. Continues play, but a travel call by Douglas. I'm curious to see if this coming back will reinitiate some conversation about whether that catch was complete.
Yeah, hearing some talk from the sideline and visually looking around, there are some people who are adamant that disc goes up, and some people who are adamant that disc goes down.
I would say that sidelines here are an unreliable narrative.
So coming in saying 3?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds reasonable.
All discussion contained to the post-travel setup. Warren, back to KJ. Sharon Lynn with the disc. And Finney with the quick dish to Johnson. And Brute Squad sees Fury get one goal closer. They're creeping back into it with a break.
Like I just said, that's the offensive execution that is absolutely punishing. And when Fury is on and looks like that, they are unstoppable. That goal by Kirsten Johnson, known as KJ, one of the two captains this year with Maggie Rudin. When I was talking to Nancy Sun before the game, she wanted to highlight KJ, saying that she's been working so hard over the last number of seasons, and that this year, it's all of that hard work is really showing up, able to, guard handlers and cutters, able to distribute the disc like we saw in that point, and being an incredible asset to the Fury offense.
Former Molly Brown and Colorado handler, college career. It's really, to me, really stood out in the beginning of the season for the growth that she displayed. And it's obviously making her mark on this team in this championship campaign. But the question is, will she be able to do it on a national finalist? Still more to figure out about that, because they're still trailing this Boston squad.
Another really nice deep pull from Ellie Mellick there.
Well, pulling from that far side, it's going to be a lot easier to throw a disc up on the wind, and Ellie Mellick's got big pulls to start. She's charged with covering Ishmael, who's got the disc on that high side.
And standing poised, ready to throw that big forehand hook.
And it comes so quick that, the mark just has to know at any second this could go up. I mean, that's a fascinating matchup just right there. A player who gets as many hand and foot blocks as Ellen Mellick versus a player with such a fast release.
and gets a lot of hand and foot blocks of her own. Talking about Ali Malik and Ismail for those who were unclear.
Ospina getting it from Zhu and now looking for options. Finds Troutman. Troutman looking deep, but blading that throw more than she probably intended, and Ismail can't really do anything with it. And I gotta say, I'm maybe a bit surprised by how much of an involved offensive presence Lily Troutman is as a first-year player on this team. Not because she doesn't have the talent, but because they have so many players who've been with this program for a while. But she is getting a lot of run and a lot of opportunity to impact this game.
Yeah, it does look like there's an injury substitution happening on the field. Maggie Rudin coming in for Fury. I appreciate that look from Troutman. You know, the execution, not ideal, but I appreciate the field position. Like, given Fury's offense conversion rate, making them go the full 70 yards is a good bet.
Ismail subbing off as well during that injury break. I didn't quite see who came on, whether it was Caitlin Lee or Amy Zhou, but both are on now, so one was the injury sub, and Fury has the disc. Opie Payne, who didn't have her finest first half, makes the diving catch. But a player you know who could take over a game at any moment. Nazaroff catches a reset, but not without a pick occurring between players in the area.
Nazaroff's fakes are just so convincing. Each one of them could be a throw, which is what makes them so lethal.
Just has a really wide variety of release points. And now sending a forehead towards the end zone for Ali Suji, who's trying to stay upright to try and make that catch. But even if she had been, I'm not sure if she could have caught up to that before it got out of bounds.
It did look like her feet got a little bit tied, you know, trying to initially, I'm going to backpedal this, and then realize that in order to get the speed that she needed to catch the disc at that right angle, tried to turn, and then in that turning, feet got caught, meaning that her attempt was really viable.
Really need to try and turn over that outside shoulder, keep your momentum going in the same direction, rather than turning back on the inside and backpedaling briefly. But even the speedy Suji can't catch up to it, but a short field turn, low throw, can't be dug out by Troutman. Chance to tie it for San Francisco.
Nazaroff directing herself.
Rudin back to Nazaroff, but with Lee in tight coverage, and while Lee is the first to get a hand to it, a foul call will be uncontested.
I appreciate how quickly Lee uses the hand signals to demonstrate her opinion.
Nazaroff around to Payne, and Payne into the end zone for Dina Alamelik. And we are all even. Steven here again in San Diego.
You know how I was just talking about how you can't just get a bunch of breaks in a row against a team like Brute Squad? Well, Fury went and proved me wrong.
Oh, I said that we had plot twists to come, and this was never going to be as simple as it might have looked.
10-7, all of a sudden, we're at 10-10.
Would you have it any other way with Brute Squad and Fury? I mean, we said at the top of the show, the history shows when these teams get together, you get classic games. And we might be on our way to one right now with this one tied at 10-10 and a spot in the finals on the line.
14-13. That's what history says this score is going to be. Could go either way.
Yeah, but the big question is who will have 14?
Stay tuned to find out.
If I knew that, make a lot of money on the stock market.
The stock market in the who's going to win this ultimate game?
If I knew the future. I'm willing to predict, though, that we're going to have a good game down the stretch.
Do you want to note that Nancy Sun is not in cleats for this game due to an injury a couple weeks ago, is a rostered player and is trying to play this Nationals, but is conscious because of the injury of her ability to contribute at specific moments, and so is choosing when to play or not play because of that.
But if you were going to make a list of active players in this division who could possibly impact a team without ever stepping on the field, Nancy Sun would be near the top of it.
Absolutely.
Tulsa Douglas gets the reset back from Yuga Zhao.
And just want to briefly highlight Nancy Sun, just inducted into the Hall of Fame. One of the few players, maybe Dominique Fontenette, the other one, who was inducted to the Hall of Fame while still being an active player in the division. So
a rare breed.
Yeah.
Kate Bosey around to Douglas. Something tells me there are some future Hall of Famers on this field right now.
Almost certainly. There was a pick call, play stops, but it does look like the disc will stay as that was the continuation throw.
Now, not unlike Kirsten Johnson on Fury's side, Yuga Zhao has made some real gains as a player and has stepped into a major role. And now she's sending one towards the end zone, a jump ball from Malinowski, but the pressure from Warren forces Malinowski up early, and Cooper cleans up.
There was a great read by Cooper to see that there would need to be some help and to do it so cleanly.
Megan Liu winds up a backhand and sends one spacious throw looking for Warren, but too far ahead of the receiver.
I really like that shot from Liu. Had really nice form, really nice power. It had a lot of sit. Not quite enough. But I'd take that shot again.
Ferrero underneath now on the low sideline, but resets to Zhao. Pick call downfield. Johnson looking a bit uncomfortable, perhaps still limping on that leg that she banged up earlier up line cut, but not taking an injury sub. But that break in the momentum of the offense might have taken away a good opportunity. Kate Bosey had about 10 yards free in the deep space. Another pick stops play.
This Brute Dog stack right now is spread out. Maybe a little bit too deep, and I think is potentially what's causing all of these picks. If they were a little bit more compact, there would be less of having to run around and getting these picks off the front or the back of the stack as players are clearing or trying to set up their cuts.
Handler's doing a good job maintaining possession as the Cutters figure some things out. Well, you can see the defensive level both of these teams are bringing to the table. Rising stalk out, Finney clamps down on the reset. Douglas breaks free at the final moments. Around break for Douglas, but Torquist had started heading the other way, but her defender did not. Lisa Cooper with her second block of the point.
We talked about Cooper earlier and not getting enough
attention. Straight up the sideline huck from Finney, but no one's home on this one. And Carolyn Finney, I think, is, it's not a long shot to say she's one of the most talented and impactful players in the women's division, but what she's not is a player who doesn't turn the disc over. She's always been a player who has taken shots and lived with the consequences.
And again, because of the conditions, those are the shots that you want to take. You want to make this Brute Squad offense that at this moment is really struggling in the cutter space. The offense thrives on cutter-to-cutter connections, but right now the disc is living with the handlers while the Fury defense is clamped down on the cutters, making it hard for them to break free. So you're trusting that you're going to gain the field position, and then your cutters are going to clamp down again, get the block, and you'll have a shorter field to work with, or that the huck you just threw worked out.
No turnover is better than possession, but some turnovers are worse than others.
Well said, Keith.
Douglas looking to reset, and again, you're seeing Fury, who really play fantastic reset defense here in this second half. The early parts of the game, that wasn't necessarily the case, but now San Francisco has really found an area that they can press their advantage. That may not stop Boston, although there's a pick call back at the throw. So on the reset from Tornquist to Douglas, there was a pick. It's going to likely prevent this score from standing.
You can see the disc going back there.
Tense moments here at Surf Cup Pro Sports Park. 10-10. Players battling for every inch of field. This is basically what you spend all season preparing for.
Bosey's been doing a good job breaking open in the handler set, but the throwers seem to be looking her off, not throwing it across the field. Bosey getting the disc now.
They heed your advice. Sage words from Charlie Mercer. Bosey around, now looking back. She had a strong regular season with Brute Squad. Another one of those reset picks, although this time no call. Break side to Torquist and then past a bidding wherein Ferrero gets the score. Brute Squad holds to go up 11-10, although, I mean, no point feels like, they all feel like breaks now.
But you can see like the joy and the relief of this Brute squad of just like how hard this, what this means to them after Fury scoring 3 straight. They came out strong at a half, notching their own little run. Fury has responded. So we are back on serve at 11-10, Brute over Fury. 15 minutes left before that soft cap goes on. And as a reminder, when that soft cap goes on, we will add 1 to the highest score and then play to that score.
Ferrero with a second goal to go with the block in this game. It's been another nice acquisition for Boston.
I don't think that stat line is indicative of the impact that Ferrero has had on this game.
I mean, we all know that goals, assists, and blocks, while telling in some ways, are simply just not enough context. There's not enough nuance to that to tell you about how players impact the game. And we haven't quite figured out other ways. We have attempted, on Ultra we have an edge statistic that we often use in AUDL play, but in other times as well, to try and find ways to describe players' contributions to the game beyond just those simple metrics. Yardage is another great one that's very helpful, but Ferrero has had a big impact on this game beyond just those numbers. Speaking of players who can put up numbers, Opie Payne strikes, gets the goal on a beautiful throw from El Wado Kareem, who has played very well in this game.
I think she's another player who doesn't get enough credit for her play. Like, look at her form on this. The fake, that release, it's absolutely stunning and beautiful and makes that catch so easy for Opie Payne. I mean, Payne gets the credit for scoring the goal, but Awalda Kareem really sets that up with such a fantastic touch throw. A really great one possession response from Fury. Fury has done that a couple times this game, where after a really grindy point, they have been able to come out with a single possession hold. And it's those moments that I think are the most disheartening for Brute Squad, of like, we had to work so hard to score our point. Oh no, you just scored your point so easily. Now we're putting out players who maybe, like, in their switching lines back and forth every other point, maybe they're not as well rested as they might like them to be before they have to go back out on the field again.
2 dynamic black players who played their college game in the state of Pennsylvania. Wado Kareem played at Penn State, Payne at UPenn. Connecting for a Fury score to tie this one up late. I remember seeing a Wado Kareem playing, I believe they were Green Means Go at the time, back with Philly, and clearly a talented player then, but has added so much to her game in her time with Fury.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an absolute joy to watch her play.
One of those kinds of players that you would point other young players to and say, like, watch this, learn how to do what she's doing.
But also watch her play over the course of seasons, and you can watch her get better. You can watch her develop her throwing form and her spacing really become at this elite level.
Caitlin Lee getting some room as Boston's moving fluidly with a great offensive possession right now. Working both sides of the field. Leanne Hoffman around to Ferrero. Hoffman operating as a handler, not a role we see her take on often. but helps engineer a score for Ferrero. And Brute Squad another step closer. Fury running out of chances.
That was a single possession hold for Brute Squad. Hoffman has been relatively quiet this game. You know, Hoffman, another U.S. national team player, long, storied career, incredibly impactful, but hasn't had as many stats. You know, I think that it's part of the story of these ultimate programs is that you have players like Hoffman that are playing almost every point at the peak of their career, and there's a point where they're still contributing to the roster, but the ways that they're contributing start to morph and change. And so you can expect that Hoffman is mentoring this next generation, right? Brute Squad's been talking about the Tots, their trio of pet players, Eddie Lamb and Yuga Zhao and Downey as well. Like that trio of players who they refer to as the Tots, you know, helping to mentor that next level of player to this elite level through Hoffman's experience and having been in this field. And you can expect that Hoffman is helping to ground the team to help them stay calm and present in this moment, because you still have many of these new players who, while they've had nationals experience, may not have had like the level of experience that Fury does in these types of games.
Hoffman, a 5-time all-club first-teamer, made it on the Player of the Year podium once, and it's hard to say that she is quite the same top 5 player that she once was. What a moment right there. Ishmael with a tremendous block, but Awado Kareem as if she planned it right in the spot for the catch. Off the deflection. Brute Squad trying to recover. Awado Kareem now holding 15 yards out. That player down, though, downfield is going to stop play.
I can't get over that block. I can't get over that sequence of events. We're getting that replay now. Really well set up block by Ismail. Super clean. And the quick nonchalance of Awado Kareem to just pick up the disc off of that bounce and reset it.
And not even there's not even a moment wasted by Awado Kareem, but that throw just not far enough wide, and there Ishmael applying so much pressure that she's in just the right spot to get off her feet and make a block. Seeing the player, that was Lily Troutman, who was down, up and walking off the field. Sarah Hansen subbing in.
Always glad to see players who are down in the middle of points be able to walk off the field. Always a good sign. Hopefully Troutman will return to the field soon.
I'm not sure if Maddie Sang called her number or Finney called her own number, but Finney says, wait, I'm subbing in too. And comes in for Cardenas and takes the throw.
I want the disc in my hands.
I mean, I think if Carolyn Finney says I'm coming on, who's going to say no? But saying no is Amy Zhou in the back of the end zone.
I mean, here's my take, though, because Finney called herself on and then threw a turnover. We were saying earlier that Finney has an incredible range of throws and also is known for throwing a number of turns. So is that actually the best substitution in that moment?
We'll never know, but I'll tell you what, it helps that Finney is a tremendous defender. It's a lot easier to go out there and be generous with the disc if you're also greedy when you're on defense and can take it back. But right now, there's a foul call on the throw by Ospina, so possession back to her, and now a travel call, or a foot fault, as it were, maybe coming in at the wrong position. Tough spot to initiate possession from for Boston. Volchuk, high throw, Hansen, the sub, can't make the play, and now Finney back with the disc again in favorable position for Fury.
On the high side this time.
Inside break knocked away. Another big block for Laura Ospina. Ishmael in power position, you know what's next. A deep throw, but this one too juicy for Malinowski to catch up to.
That throw needs a little bit more float, and then Malinowski can get to it. but really a good look. You know, again, you're making Fury have to work the full length of the field in order to put themselves in a scoring position.
Nazarov walking to the front. Few players who've faced this kind of situation as much as she has. Imanishi back to Awado Kareem with power position. Harris finds room. Suji, though, is the target. Jump ball situation. Hansen puts pressure on. Fury tries but can't come up with it. Good effort by Finney to make the save and catch. Now a bit of chaos will lead to a stoppage.
Only a bit of chaos? Have you seen the number of turnovers at this point?
A bit, only in that 3 or 4 seconds. We're just slicing a little bit of the game.
This Fury offense really spread out across the field right now. You can see players trying to recover, get themselves back into positions to make really definitive throwing lanes. Brute Squad's offense starting to regroup.
Getting close to the 50 turnover mark between the two teams. So this has been a gritty affair. A lot of defense, a few mistakes as well. But it's clearly not going to come easy to anybody.
Again, taking a look at our clock, we are 4.5 minutes until that soft cap goes on.
At stake, a championship slot to face off against the winner of Scandal and Molly Brown. With no third place game in this tournament, the loser will have to settle for a tie for third. Hard fake by Ishmael. She goes up big to try and come out with that throw from Angela Zhu.
Ishmael on the receiving end of that huck instead of on the throwing end of that.
She spent quite a bit of time downfield in this game and trying to operate from the back of the stack too. And there, nothing even a great cut could do to work with that throw. Haven't seen a lot of great deep connections in this game. Throwers struggling to get those looks dialed in.
I mean, again, the wind conditions on these hucks, there's just so much variance, and it allows, exactly like here, it allows time for the D to catch up, although Finney does connect on that.
That throw squeezing between the hands of Angela Zhu, what is often an elementary interception, but blocked again by Amy Zhou, her second of the point. And you can see that the length of this point, the duration is wearing on these players. And an injury call, I think.
Looks like Becky Malinowski is subbing off for Brute Squad.
Juliana Werfely also taking an injury sub for Fury. She got contacted pretty heavily by Leifka.
Ferrero coming on for Malinowski.
Matty Sag looking to make his decision as to who to bring on, communicating with the sideline. I think they're trying to clarify that there was a second injury and it isn't just the matchup sub for Malinowski.
So they would be able to sub a
So
second
I think
player.
both teams can each sub twice.
Which, given the length of this point, would be advantageous.
Absolutely. You're crazy if you think I'm not taking a matchup sub. I'm surprised players aren't asking to go off. So still clarification being offered about what exactly is happening amongst the players and coaches. So it looks like after all is said and done, the dust settles. Opie Payne coming on the field for Fury. And Lily Troutman and Ferrero both coming on for Brute Squad.
Volchuk again starting them with the disc on that coffin corner.
Ishmael looking deep once again, has a lot of room for Amy Zhou. A lot of players chasing this disc, but Zhou's the first one there. Players from Fury are down. Not sure if there'll be an injury call. No. They're signaling a goal. They're unclear. There goes the hands from the orange. And a hard-fought score for Boston. We went back and forth on that point, but it's Brute Squad who gets into the end zone to make it 13-11.
The timing of this break was absolutely critical with just over a minute before that cap goes on. That goal really set up by Ismail's huck there. It had just enough height and touch. And I really love the ferocity from Brute Squad here. There were 3 players under that disc. There were a number of Fury players as well. But even after that initial pass was caught, there were it was unguarded Brute Squad players in the end zone for lots of continuation options to finalize that point, because you know against Fury, until you have that disc in the end zone, that nothing is final, nothing is decided. You can never let your foot off the gas, because as Fury has already demonstrated, they have the ability to bring them back.
What a point for Amy Zhou, Brute Squad. Block in the back of the end zone to save a score, and then another block to stop a short field opportunity for Fury, and then gets free to collect that huck from Ismail to set up the score to make it 13-11. Amy Zhou making big plays here in semifinals.
So if you're taking a look at your clock, time has expired, but this point has already started. So at the conclusion of this point, we will add 1 to the higher score, and that will be our new end total. Really critical hold from Fury here.
Jesse O'Connor with the disc unmarked, and now it's still free as Boston's defense gets organized.
Wind gusting and picking up again.
Thompson looking for the end zone, and that one pops up on a bit of a breeze and escapes Cree Howard. So Fury gives the disc right back. And a Brute Squad D1 score here might be the backbreaker. These points have been so back and forth that if Brute Squad could just march down, would really give them all the momentum. Stoppage on the field. Brute Squad's been on a 3-1 run since Fury fought back to tie this game at 10-10. Now with a chance to extend that to 4-1.
Yeah, the first half had a lot of trading, and this second half has really been a story of many runs for each side.
Ferrero. Resets back to Zhao. Lots of hammer work for Boston as these cutting lanes have been covered up by these strong Fury defenders. And this has been a defensive bout throughout.
Both teams known for their defense, so it's very expected. Absolutely living up to expectations.
Douglas gets it on an inside throw that would have been able to be blocked. The defender had seen it. Instead, it's a throw to the end zone. And again, the hucks are coming from both sides, but rarely incomplete. And when we did see a completed huck, it felt like such a game changer on that last point. But instead, both teams are exchanging deep turnovers.
But again, to the defense. So it was Howard and Thompson that sandwiched Lee there, and it was Thompson's help D that put Lee in that tough position to make the catch and made it an incompletion.
And we talked about it being a defensive game. It's these hucks like this one that help make it that way, and another turnover. But you can see these are well-defended plays, and both teams also know that they're so strong on defense that making the other team work the full 70 is going to make it a really tough hill to climb. Tulsa Douglas in on the play, taking an injury sub for Brute Squad. And this game has been such a tough fight for both sides. That's no surprise that players are feeling it at this point. Hope everybody's okay.
Amy Zhao coming in for Tulsa.
And Han Chen, who was also in for the layout for Fury, is going to sub out. Not sure if Chen's taking injury or the matchup sub. If we're going to get another double sub, it'll be Lo Warren who subs in.
It does look like Chen, from her body language, was just taking a matchup sub.
I mean, she just did a 50-yard sprint. Might as well get some fresh lungs out there.
And given the game that Cooper's had, it makes sense to bring Cooper on.
Joe looking deep without any other option, so it's a jump ball, and Johnson knocks it away, although there is a foul call back at the throw.
They was talking about the call.
Really nowhere for Amy Joe to go, so forced to try and send it downfield and may get bailed out by a foul. Not to say that there wasn't a foul call, that she's unjustly calling one, but if there was a foul, the defense may be letting her off the hook a little bit.
Certainly, and I think speaking to this defensive matchup, you know, this block from KJ shows how tight that defense is and how everyone is fighting for everything.
These are just hucks that are bad looks. These are well-defended options. There's just not a lot of free space for either side. O'Connor gets it off the line to Thompson. Lou attacking up the middle of the field. You can see a lot of room to operate in the middle for Fury. They're doing a great job spreading that out. And then Thompson with the touch pass to the back code for Jesse O'Connor for Fury hold.
Score is now 13-12, game to 14. What did we say that most common score is between Fury and Brute? We are well on our way to a 14-13 game. Question here is, who is going to come out on top?
What a bold pass from Thompson in these conditions. Trying to throw a touchy angle, edge controlled throw with that kind of loft on it is something I don't think I have the fortitude to do, but Thompson has never been one shy about making a tough play, and that one went off perfectly. And Jesse O'Connor putting that disc down rather than keeping it for the next 24 hours.
I appreciate, though, the wind has calmed down a little bit. You know, there are moments of these big gusts, and I think that Thompson had the wherewithal to recognize that the conditions were a little bit calmer, so that touch throw is viable in that moment. It may not be viable in the next moment, but Thompson did take advantage of the circumstances to put that nice throw out to space for O'Connor.
Thompson, 2019 Player of the Year with Philadelphia AMP. He's won a national title already with them. Player of the Year runner-up in 2021 after joining this Fury side. So, seen plenty of big moments in her fairly young career. I mean, she's really in the midst of her career as a player.
Brute Squad looking to get a hold here to put away this game. Fury, of course, looking to get 2 breaks in a row in order for them to win this game and earn their berth to finals.
One of just many pick calls we've had in this game. Stops play about as soon as it's gotten started, but keep an eye on the top of your screen where Samia Ismail is trying to initiate against Dina Elamelik. Just a ton of fun to watch that matchup. Ismail clearing out. So the swing goes to Angela Zhu. Volcha looking deep for Joe. Can she do it again? She's got the separation, but throw beyond the reach of the receiver. Another huck turn between the two teams.
Gives Fury that opportunity, gives them possession. I really like the tight D from Sharon Lynn there. You know, bidding, both players kind of hitting the ground, coming up, excited to keep working.
Tight window, almost closed by Ospina. She's already got 2 layout blocks to her credit. Stoppage, though.
From the hand signals, it looks like Ospina is calling a foul. And from the pantomiming, probably something about getting stepped on.
So I didn't even, it wasn't.
When I stepped up, because you played into my back?
I stood up, so I fell. I stood up, and then you stepped on my feet, and you throw, so I couldn't even move.
Okay, so I'm just going to make sure I know what the call is. You're calling foul?
Because you stepped on my feet.
Okay.
So I couldn't move.
How good are you? I don't know what my feet were doing.
Yeah, honestly, I wasn't looking at your feet either, so I couldn't tell in that situation. So if we're gonna have a foul, it's gonna have to remain a contested foul. It's gonna have to come back to the throw. Okay. We have a contested.
I'm not surprised. I think Werfele probably a bit frustrated after choosing not to call a foul after the bid to have a foul called against her. But she doesn't have control over the situation, and about 40 without a perspective on it, so players will agree to disagree.
Quick shout out to and appreciation to the observers who are working this game. Really important contributions that they bring, often overlooked.
Yeah, unless they make a mistake, then everybody looks. But when they do the job right, nobody says anything. Uncontested foul around the disc.
Lynn and Nazarov trying to help each other by both trying to catch that disc.
Payne in the middle of the field, or resetting to the middle of the field, as it were, to Nazarov. Wind picking up a bit. These gusts have come and gone here at the Surf Cup Pro Sports Complex. Diving catch by Nazarov. Lynn with the disc, 18 yards out. A reset to Payne and an elementary drop by one of Fury's superstars. It has not been Payne's best game. But I think there's an injury call from Dina Elamelik far in the backfield off your screen right now. That's going to prevent play from initiating.
I actually think that it's Ismail that called the injury because Ismail has walked off the field and Ali Malik is still on the field. So
Malik was matched up with Ismail, so that now you're bringing it all together. It's all coming together. Leanne Hoffman subbing on for Ismail. No matchup sub, I think, from Fury. So disc will stay with Volchuk. Volchuk and Zoo working together. And great. I thought that was going to be a big wide swing with the way that Volchuk stepped, but instead it was a throw almost directly at the stack. Not sure if that's what she intended or not. High throw, nearly taken by Trauma, but Payne hauls it in.
That's the Payne we know and love.
Awado Kareem throws past a poaching Volchuk. Big gainer to Nazarov. Nazarov, a crafty swing. And in two throws, Fury's gone all the way to the opposite sideline.
They look best when they use the full width of the field.
Werfele looking to reset. Well covered, but the offense finds a way anyway. And now a throw to space from Awado Kareem. The attempted toe in from Harris. And the observer rules out of bounds. But there may be a call that's going to keep possession in the hands of San Francisco. Harris still arguing her case. She wants to litigate the spot on the field, but it may not matter.
Harris pointing at the ground, trying to show this is where my foot was.
Yeah.
I'm thinking there may either a foul on the throw from Werfele or a stall call. It looks like contested stall. The most contested call in Ultimate, I'll say. So we'll rewind 3 throws, I believe. And is this going to be another rare creature in the wild, the stall A timeout? And the tension thick here in San Diego.
When I was talking to Nancy Sun before the game, something that she said that she was most excited about the logistics of this game. That, you know, having grown up in this era of Sarasota Nationals where you lined the fields and there's just this palpable energy that is at the field. And thinking about how many players on Fury feed off of that energy, that excitement of like, oh yeah, we're really close to the action. You know, it feels different when you're in a stadium. When you're in a stadium, it's like, okay, there's a crowd there, they're watching us, but there's more of a disconnect. And here, when the players are right up there, there's more connectivity. and that brings so much more tension and power and excitement to the play that's happening on the field. And plays on the field are abound. We've had so many spectacular throws, catches, and also some doinks and missed executions.
Yeah, but if everybody played a perfect game, it would be pretty boring, Charlie. So a few mistakes can add a lot of drama.
We got plenty of drama here.
Yeah, there's no shortage of that, that's for sure.
Fury queuing up out of their timeout. Critical offensive possession for them.
Great job resetting out of that stoppage. It can be hard to get the disc moving. But now, not a lot of options for Werfele. Beautiful around. And Werfele playing against her former team on Brute Squad. Payne with another drop. And I believe that's her 4th turnover of the game. They're having a tough one, but certainly, again, a player capable of a game-changing play at any moment. Elimelech bids, Hoffman collects it despite that fact. Brute Squad back on the march.
Brute Squad's offense stagnating downfield a little bit. No resets back. Players look a little bit tired.
Small window throw up to Zoo. And now towards the end zone for the game. A game of inches just like we predicted. Volchek into the middle. Nearly blocked, but it's Lily Troutman who comes down with it. And Boston Brute Squad advances to the national championship with a gritty win over San Francisco Fury.
Keith, I gotta say, the score is 12-14, not 13-14.
They didn't read the script. Who didn't learn their lines?
Well, you know who earned their lines? All of these players on the field, because they have given us a truly phenomenal game. Here's that last turn. Really great grab by Hoffman.
And one thing you could say about both of these teams is the players on this field never gave in. I mean, there was not an ounce of quarter given. These players were battling for everything, but Brute Squad just the better outfit today by the smallest of margins.
And in no shortage because of Troutman and Volchuk. They've been absolutely, they've been absolutely instrumental in this win. Brute Squad 14 over Fury 12. And again, if history shows, if Brute Squad beats Fury at Nationals, they go on to win a national championship.
Or if they dodge them all together. But certainly the one time that they've beaten them, they did go on to win the title. Could Brute Squad be on their way to a 3rd national title since 2016? Be an impressive feat. They'll face the winner of DC Scandal and Denver Molly Brown after this 14-12 victory.
That game has started. Is about half an hour in. Should be another barn burner and a really close and exciting matchup. So far, we have Molly Brown up 2-1 against Scandal. Nothing particularly exciting happening.
Not like here. This was a thriller through and through, just as expected. And while we didn't get the final score line we exactly wanted, this is pretty close. Pretty close.
Really, really an exciting matchup. Coming in shortly for an end of game interview with Livka Volchuk, again German national team player, World Games player, absolutely impactful for this squad.
So we will join Livka now. Livka, thank you for coming on. A big victory for Boston. You're going to the final in your 2nd year with the team. What are you feeling after winning such a tough game?
hard to describe. It's just relief and excitement, both of those feelings together. I've been hungry for a year. The whole team has been hungry for a year. So this is just, we got it. We're happy.
What do you think your keys to success were that propelled you to this win?
We very much focus on choosing greatness for this game, which means being in the right headspace, believing in ourselves, and just go into this game with confidence. I think we showed that we always believed in ourselves, whether we just got a break or wanted to break down. So I think that's just what made the difference for us this year.
You faced off with Fury twice early in the year, and I know you weren't there for those matchups, but the team wasn't able to get a win. And the team had struggled to get some wins against some of the best teams, the teams that you'd have to contend with in games like this. What's made it such a turnaround over these past month or so that the team is really clicking at this point in the year?
We had some really important focus points, I'd say, for the last 3 practice weekends, and that was mostly help for our deep game and just also working on confidence and like the last key connections and connection pieces. And I think the puzzles were just finally being pulled together and put together, and we managed to be more united as a team on the field.
Well, you certainly have a lot to celebrate. So what was your favorite part of that game? What was your favorite moment?
Gotta think for a moment, I guess. I mean, but winning the game, I guess the last throw, I was like, shit, I'm out of options. And then I just saw Lily with a grin on her face, and I just like shoot it at her. She caught it, obviously, and that was just insane moment. Lots of emotions, and I'm still sucking that in.
We'll give you some time to process that. Congratulations on the win. We'll see you in the final tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.
That is Brute Squad's Livka Volchuk coming off of a 14-12 win in which she threw the game-winning assist. That was one of her 5 scores between her goals and assists. 14-12. You see the bracket. Brute Squad with the dominating win over Flipside, and then taking down the rest of the Southwest. Or the best of the Southwest, as it were, 14-12 in the semifinals. No Southwest team on the other side. It'll be Scandal or Molly Brown in that championship match.
We said earlier that part of the story of this game, that Brute Squad coming in from the regular season was 1-5 against these other semifinal teams. So the question was, would they be able to continue on their growth trajectory over getting better game by game over the course of nationals to best Fury to compete against Scandal and Molly Brown? And the answer was a clearly and definitive yes.
Brute Squad with the affirmative answer, but most importantly is their season rolls on. Boston will continue to play, and their championship hopes remain alive, while Fury, a team we're used to seeing in those title matches, will have to settle for semifinalists. Charlie, this is an emotional affair. Your final thoughts on this contest?
I'm so thrilled to have gotten to partake in a game like this with such outstanding plays. You're seeing a number of these incredible replays, and I'm really proud of how players kept working through all of the adversity. The adversity they created for each other, the adversity they created for themselves, the adversity created by the circumstances to put together such complete performances.
That's going to do it for our broadcast from Surf Cup Sports Park. For Charlie Mercer, I'm Keith Raider. Ultiworld signing off. Semifinal Saturday continues. Boston to the final.